Who knows what engenders a passion, from within. I don't know why at 9, 10 years old when I first saw tennis on television that it fascinated me. So, I don't have a good explanation for that. For me, it was a matter of, this is a sport that I just can't do without. I have so much fun doing this. I go to bed dreaming about playing tennis. And I'd wake up, especially during the summers, thinking about tennis. I'd go to bed thinking about tennis.
I didn't know what tennis was all about during that time until when I got here. Then I wasn't that interested in it when I got here in Colorado, because I was a table tennis man, and I loved it. I was 58, 59, 60, somewhere in there, at where we couldn't, as I said, we couldn't find where to play the table tennis, and so I just picked up a tennis racket. I've had my fun.
I just naturally gravitated to it once I saw those tennis courts. I don't care what barriers you have. If I'm hitting that ball a certain way, you got to respect that thing.
For one, tennis is unique just because I still believe it's the greatest sport out there. It's the hardest sport to learn. It's the hardest sport to get good at. It requires the most athleticism.
You don't have a limitation. You can go as far as you want to go. If you want to work hard, you want to push yourself.
So I went home and I told my grandmother that I wanted to play tennis. I really didn't have a choice in the matter. The next summer, I was out there every day from the time I was 10. If you go in the yearbook, you'll see me, okay? But I wasn't as portly then as I am now.
We have people starting at age 60 out there playing tennis now, and they play in tournaments, some of them do. And they win and they lose, and they probably lose more than they win, but they still win,
To me, tennis is like life. Just listen to the music. It's just a song and a dance. You have rhythm, you move with rhythm. To me, it's like music. I mean, sometimes I think about tennis when I was really playing. It's such a beautiful thing. I mean, it's just, it's just beautiful.
In essence, the competition isn't between you and the person on the other side. The competition is between you and yourself. Can I be better? What can I do when the ball is on this side of the court? I believe that's empowering. You realize that your results reside within yourself.
You got to go into it. It's a game that, if you've never done it, that you wish you had.
It's up to you. You don't have to depend on someone else. And just the stimulation of getting exercise, it's therapy. Even if you can't move, someone can hit you the ball and you can hit it back.
It worked out just fine for me. I mean, it gave me something to do. I could stay active and be involved and be social at the same time. And be fit too at the same time, because a lot of people think that tennis is not a fitness sport.
You know what? When you're 40 years old, you're not going to be playing a pickup basketball game. You're not going to even be able to find anybody to play basketball with, whereas you'll have this whole huge tennis community that you can not only play with, but socialize with and just have a great time with. Tennis is a sport of a lifetime.
I was in my late 30s when I was first introduced to tennis. And I was introduced to tennis by a schoolmate at Manual. He was hitting against the handball court out at City Park. And so I mentioned to him that that was basically a girls' game.
I didn't realize that there were many black tennis players around. And I mean good players. I mean, these guys could play.
I started spending some time and hanging out at City Park.
And my thing was, I used to always tell them, hey, regardless of how your tennis is, regardless of what you're doing here, show some love to your fellow man while you're here. Even on the tennis court, show some love. And of course, a lot of times when you'd be playing tennis and you'd hit a ball kind of hard at them or something like this, well, all right, wait a minute, where's that love? It was in that shot.
I came to Denver from Vandenberg Air Force Base. I had left the military. One thing I knew from my past experience is when you get to a new town, you've got to find the tennis courts. You've got to find that one mecca in which everyone is drawn to. And I talked to a lot of people, and they said, you've got to go to City Park, you've got to go to City Park. Robert Frost said that, home is the place that you go to and they have to let you in. A City Park was that kind of place.
Those before me paid for that for me. They made this possible for me to come in and enjoy it the way that I have. I didn't have to worry about all that because they had already worked through it. They did it for me. And those guys are just wonderful people, baby. City Park, they just put their arms around any newcomer and they accepted you because they love to beat up on you anyway. And while you're learning the game, they love that. Oh, yes. So if you were a new one, I just said, girl, by the time they got through with you, you're going to learn something and get better or don't come back. One of the two.
I've had people come to me and tell me that they've been to other cities and City Park ranks #1 in their memory of a beautiful place to come and play tennis.
Things really changed altogether from the time that I started. It was altogether different.
There were a lot of opportunities, and then there was like unwritten. There were just certain places that you didn't go. City Park is, blacks were persona non grata.
They didn't want us out there at the time, but I was so young, I really didn't realize as much as the older tennis players did. But I could hear them talk every now and then about they were going to try to go out to City Park to start playing.
It was fascinating. Encountered a lot of discrimination for me, as the older white gentlemen wouldn't play with me. They told me that I had to go down on the end court and play with the girls. It's worse than Jim Crow. I mean, it was very blatant. It was very blatant, and they had their little hierarchical structure, and the more they slapped me upside the head and told me that that's not the place that I needed to be, as I go back home and I talk to Mom, and she says, that's where you need to be. Wherever they don't want you to be, that's where you need to be. It's not going to be easy, but you just got to get busy.
Well, at this time, at City Park, you still have people out there who think that, they are a little bit better than you. In their minds that, black people are not quite as good as they are in tennis, and You're going to have that for years and years, and you just ignore that, and you just go on and improve your game, and you play the best you can. When I came to Denver in '55, I think maybe blacks wasn't across York, but City Park was right at 23rd and York, so quite a few blacks were playing at City Park. Not as many as white players, but it was quite a few good tennis players, black tennis players at City Park. And as soon as I started playing, I went back to school, and you know, the schools were segregated then, and you know, we just had fun playing with each other. You know, we had tournaments and everything, and the tournaments were, you know, black tournaments, and they had probably white tournaments. We didn't play in those. We just played in the black tournaments, you know.
It's just not the way this is supposed to be. But see, you don't realize that until you get up in age, because you are hey, I'm sorry, the name is you were brainwashed, I'm sorry. And of course, these were the times, and this is just the way it was. And until you got older and began to realize and learn that this is not the way it's supposed to be, it was going to stay that way.
Dr. Chester Harris is an incredible figure as far as introducing, teaching, mentoring people to play tennis.
Mr. Harris, he was an icon. Come by and watch you play it, give you some pointers and tips, and give you lessons and everything. He didn't charge us anything. If you could count to 4 with Mr. Harris, he could teach you how to play.
They would tell me stories of how Mr. Harris would teach people, even in his basement, how to hit a forehand, how to hit a backhand, and how he would work with anyone.
He was a great man, yeah.
Didn't ever think that I'd have to be twice as good as them person to, you know, have success in tennis. I just thought if you know, went out and worked on your tennis game, and you practiced and you read books to improve your game, and I didn't take any lessons, but that probably would have helped, you know. I don't think anyone in particular instilled that in me. I just think that I just, as a person, thought that I could do as well as the next person on the tennis court.
He is the godfather of the City Park. And he has, he's the man that everybody has looked, hey, Hank, you know, he's the man. He's been along, and anybody who knows him. Hank was the man where if the bathroom needed fixing, he would call downtown and say, hey, this, or if the courts needed resurfacing, he'd call down, you know, this type of thing. So he sort of took over those duties on himself. So we named him Godfather of City Park. And he in charge, and he still does.
I think the last tournament I won, I was 70 years old, and but I won a lot before then. So many I can't count. I'm not bragging. I never thought about being a pioneer when I, you know, play at City Park. It never comes to my mind that, you know, that I'm out there just to have some fun and get some exercise and socialize with some of the people who come out there, and that's what we do. We don't necessarily think we should be a pioneer, but if we are, we are, and that's that, you know.
You give me lemons, okay? I'll put B12 in it, get some honey, okay? And I'll have me a sports drink. So nobody can take away our creativity. I mean, and that's absurd, okay? You're just going to tell me that there's no light at the end of the tunnel for me?
I happened to start playing tennis during a period in which Arthur Ashe, Charlie Pasquarello, and Sheridan Stewart started the National Junior Tennis League. And the aim of the National Junior Tennis League was to bring tennis out of the country clubs into the city streets. You know, their goal was, at least Arthur Ashe's was, that tennis would be a vehicle in which we would bring in a multitude of African American men and women, or young kids at that time, to preach education, preach health, preach the values of tennis. You know, tennis has a code of ethics. These are things that, you know, are life skills. We'd gone through the turbulent 60s, the civil rights struggles. We were in the 70s, and during the 70s, you know, there was, you know, the promise that the nation was more liberal, it was more open. Tennis was that way in which I could see the possibilities.
Frank Adams is one of the guys who've been around City Park for a long time. He was a tennis instructor. He was working full-time and teaching in his spare time. And he got me involved in tennis. He was my mentor, kind of, you know, took me by the arm and said, hey, well, you might be interested in this, or what do you think about this? Or, you know, so he was my mentor, so he kind of led the way for me. A lot of the adults in the Montbello area got together, and we would play tennis heavily on the weekend, especially on Sundays. We'd go out Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock, and we'd finish up about 5 o'clock. We'd play, just hang out, bring drinks, and challenge each other, you know, different matches, singles, doubles. We did that informally for a couple of years, and then we decided to with Frank's encouragement, to form our own association, the Community Tennis Association, that would cater, open up tennis to all of the other, to the whole community who were interested in, you know, joining tennis. And then we expanded that to the youth. And you know, tennis is a good social activity as well, so we were able to recruit more guys because of the women and more women because of the guys, which made an excellent group. Then we got involved at the competitive level, where we had to travel outside of our community to different private clubs. We had our barriers. You know, as long as we played in our own community or amongst our own group, everything was cozy. It was when we ventured out to play, it wasn't so much what was said, but it was a lot about what wasn't said and how we were treated, like, you know, do you guys really know how to play tennis, you know, type thing. And we always took that as a challenge. And frequently we left being the winners. Because of the number of years that we played in league play, we eventually gained the respect of those different clubs, and they would recognize us when we come back, you know, the following year, and they would try to strategize, you know, to really, and then they would always ask us, one of the biggest questions was, well, what club do you guys belong to? And we would say, oh, Eastside Tennis, you know. Infrequently we would be telling that it was a public park that we learned how to play tennis.
Part of why City Park had this large African American community, to a certain extent, is because they weren't comfortable other places. You know, I mean, there are other areas in the city that you can play tennis, but if you feel like you're an outsider, you tend to not go to those places. More often than not, you were the only African American there playing in a tournament. And I think that the big thing that tennis helped me with is to not be intimidated by those circumstances.
We've had a couple of youth teams to take state titles, and these are Park and Rec kids who have not had advanced lessons, so to speak, but they go out and they play with heart, and they play hard, and so we've been really, really proud of them. It instills leadership, you know, within the kids, teamwork and camaraderie, and just being a good citizen, you know. Fair play, hard work, dedication, devotion, all those good things.
If the door is open and you're sincere, kids will come through that door. They'll test you to see if they're welcome. They'll test you to see if you're running the program or they can run the program. And you have to understand that that's their job. And if you understand kids, you're going to have a great time. They're going to have a great time. They're going to learn. There's the right amount of discipline, but there's a right amount of love and understanding and respect.
I used to venture through City Park, and I believe it was possibly Melvin McCurley and a guy named TQ that I used to just watch. One teaching, one playing. And then one day I was sitting on a bench, and TQ, one of the teachers there, had asked me, "Would you ever like to play the game?" And I said yes. And he said, "Meet me here tomorrow at this certain time," which I did, and it started from there. With TQ, when it came to tennis, the hard work, it wasn't 1 or 2 hours a day. It was 3 to 4 hours a day on the weekends, 5 to 6 hours a day.
Every day I've got to be there. Okay? So as I'm there every day. So as over here is I can really push somebody. Over here I can be philosophical and say, that's pretty damn good that you did. What do you think that we can add on to this? What can you really do to make where you can be just the greatest that you ever wanted to be? And some kids never hear this. Okay? And what we were looking for was meritocracy. Okay? It's excellence. Okay? The only one that can stop you from achieving excellence is you.
What TQ really helped me with besides tennis was also, being a man, values. He was somewhat like a father figure to me because I didn't grow up with a father. So, to have someone take you under his wing and for one, donate his time to teach you tennis and also teach you it's a game of life. The power of when you walk into a setting, knowing that people aren't going to root for you, aren't going to be on your side, but remaining strong. The number one thing that TQ told me is that I'm giving this to you, so you're now going to have to turn around and give it to someone else. TQ didn't charge me a penny. So then I found a young kid. He had just defected from Russia, had no money, and I did the same thing for him. And now he's doing the same thing for someone. And that was the biggest thing that he stressed to me. And for him, he didn't care if it was a black child, a white child, male or female, but find someone who's deserving and who's going to appreciate it.
It's not about profiting from it. It's about debt and obligation to those who've come before you. It's very important that I take whatever experiences that I've had throughout the years and use those to better the life of the children who are coming up today.
It's hard to explain, but a tennis player, look, to me, they're different. They're a different breed of people, and they're good people. Now, of course, you've got 2 or 3 that you're going to run into that, you're not going to get along with.
In '82, when I played, I was playing really well that year. And when I got to the finals, I was playing this guy named Bruce Folks. I used to practice with Bruce every day at City Park, and he used to beat me every day. We was playing, and we was in a tiebreaker, and he was up like 5-1, and I came back, and then it came down to a point that he hit. I called it out, and the linesman said it was out. The umpire said it was out. He was so furious, he said, no way, no way. He went, sat down, pulled out a cigarette, started smoking a cigarette and drinking some Coke. And the director says, you can't do this. He says, well, I quit. It was unfortunate to win it that way, but a win is a win, so I took it in stride and said, okay, hey, this is a good thing.
Maybe it was playing in a tournament and everyone rooting against me. Maybe it was showing up for a tournament with my best friend and then having to play them. Quite often, it'd be something subtle, like all of the African Americans were on the same half of the draw, eliminating each other, guaranteeing that we wouldn't have 2 minorities in the finals. But those are things that you just ignore. You keep your eyes on the prize, on the final goal.
I remember Melvin McCurley told me this. He says, if you hit a ball that's a few inches in and they call it out, hit one in further. Don't hit it so close.
We're not looking for fairness. We're looking for ways to test ourselves. And if it's through things, getting around things that aren't fair, so be it.
Tennis They said, well, what barriers tennis have? Tennis don't have no barriers because it doesn't see color. It's just a game. People see color. That's the barrier.
There are not many minorities in the game of tennis. So once you saw Arthur Ashe and how good he was and how cool he was and how smart he was, you pretty much wanted to be that. You want to hit a backhand like he hit, and you want to have the same type of charisma that he had. Well, I was first introduced to tennis. We moved here when I was in high school, and we lived at these places that we call Holbrook's apartments. And right outside of our apartments were tennis courts. And from that moment on, it was pretty much a love affair. They said, well, if you want to get better, you'll have to start going to City Park. I said, City Park, that's the place. When you go out to City Park, it was an own little society. It had some people playing tennis, some people waiting to play tennis, some people sitting down playing games and things like that. And then as you talk to people, they said, people would come by and they said, well, that's the bad courts, and these are the good courts. The people who play bad, which is you need to be down there. And the people who play good, we play up here. If you want to come, if you want to play down here, then you need to get good enough down there, and you move on up there. They had this guy at the park named Turek, or they call him TQ. And he had been wanting to hit with me, and I was kind of self-taught, reading magazines, looking at videos, things like that, but I took my next step with him. TQ could play tennis, and he was a technician. Any part of the game he knew, and my volleys I didn't have. I had a great ground stroke, but I couldn't volley that well. And TQ took me on his wings, and he showed me how to volley. And with that, I was able to start to move up a lot quicker.
Try to excel. Don't be satisfied with 60% when it can be 70. When it gets 70, try to get 80. Don't be satisfied. Don't set back and say, okay, I've accomplished this. No, it can be better. Just keep on going and get that to 100% because it's there for you.
I had started dominating pretty much everyone out there, and here comes Mr. Cool Melvin McCurley, who I won a little piece of as well. So when I first played Melvin, I hit an incredible shot, probably the best shot I have ever hit. And that guy ran back there and hit that ball so hard, I said, wow, so I need to go back to the drawing board.
In this sport, just like any other singular sport, there's only going to be one winner. You're going to learn to lose a lot. And you're going to lose again and again and again, and you get up, you come back. One thing we know about great champions first fail. They just rise up and they keep going long after the doubters have said, give up.
Show that love, you're going to be all right. No doubt about it.
Sometimes kids would just walk by and ball would roll over out the door onto the grass, and the kid would pick it up and we'd just come on in and play. And they would play. And then they'd ask, you're going to be here tomorrow? And when they saw you were going to be there tomorrow, the day after that, they would join and they would play. I recently visited the courts in which I grew up at Shepherd Rec Center in West Philadelphia. And the courts are a shambles. There's grass on the courts, the nets are down. It's just horrible. There's cracks, there's peeling. It was a wonderful program for me. It taught me so much, and it's no longer there. And we won't let that happen here. I think it's a cycle of providing opportunities and also sharing something that we really love with as many people as possible. We've got a place in which everyone can thrive and feel good. We've got a family, we've got a community.
I met Ira at West High School, testing for a summer recreation job with Denver Public Schools. And after we were put in a class together to learn crafts, and so we kind of got together. He asked my telephone number, and from then on it was Clovis and Ira. Ira was playing tennis, so I started going hanging out at City Park, and he and his brother, Charlie.
We'd all get out early Sunday morning, about 9 o'clock, and God forgive me because I wasn't going to church as much as I should have been.
We started playing about 64, I guess. And then Ira and I just started playing together, and we had some success at it. And so that made it more fun, and that made it more interesting.
We won a tournament this year. We finished second in the Denver City Open, and went over to Colorado State Open, and we won that one. So we were pretty pleased with that. That was just, and we've won tournaments throughout the years. We got some trophies in there. And I was also elected to the Colorado Hall of Fame as a tennis coach.
I think if you're good at your sport, you're accepted anywhere. So that breaks down barriers if you're good at it. Yes, I'm playing now. It's 70, some of our trophies are 70.
And I think that it has a lot to do with longevity, even life, and it keeps you healthy and strong, and your cardiovascular system is good. These are things that are really important as you get older. And it keeps you on a proper diet, you eat better, and you rest better. And I haven't played my best tennis yet. I told Clovis just the other day that I'm not quite as good as I'm going to get. And I believe that.
We still don't have a lot of black kids playing tennis, and that's something that we should work on.
The sports that are more accessible to us, especially minorities, baseball, basketball, football. And that's where our best athletes are going.
Team sports are well and good, but tennis, to me, very seldom, or you might come up with a few minor injuries or something like that in your muscles, but it's nothing that's going to cause brain damage.
Even with the resources that we have, we've been able to really promote tennis in our community, and the skill level of our kids have been, have advanced as a result of our time and effort.
And we just want to make sure it gets stronger and stronger, but we have the means, we have the direction, and we have the will.
My kids grew up playing tennis at City Park, and they seemed to enjoy it. They didn't have a problem. They had a lot of mixture of kids, a very diverse group, that would come down and take the lessons all summer.
Every place that I go where I run into young people, I encourage them to pick up a tennis racket and play. I encourage their parents to pick up a tennis racket and play, because I know the benefit and the bounty that tennis has done and provided for me.
I haven't gotten to that point where I can look back and say we've come a long way, because the job's not done yet. And so right now, I'm fully vested in trying to get as far as I can go in the time that I have.
I feel that what we really have to do is not think of ourselves, or the kids to think of themselves as victims, and just pursue your dream. That's my personal feeling.
Yeah, the record shop is over here, and they move down the street and and don't start acting like yes, exactly right. The whole day coming in after this place was hot. Of course, this whole strip was hot. Now it's a jungle. They have the old very good, and you're speaking of fountains, that was another fountain. Who owned the boulders? Eric? Quentin? Quentin really going back down now. Yeah, He likes to talk his trash. The social thing. We did decently. It's hard when one doesn't let you play the game.
Because I never played in another tournament.
Guy there. That's the man right there. Okay?
While they were here, they spread such joy and gave their all to not just the tennis, but to the fellow men that were out there with them. And I'm speaking of the ladies too. The ladies used to be out there with us too.
Let's see. It's 1948.
Number one in the city.
Number one in the state.
I have so many good memories. I'm telling you, oh yes. Sometimes I feel up thinking about them, but they're all good memories. And it's when I do feel up, it's not sadness, it's happiness. I'm feeling it because I'm feeling good about the thing. So, oh yes, this is what it's all about.
That's amazing pictures.